Our 2023 trade deadline previews continue on today with the Arizona Coyotes. So, Arizona is obviously another team that is in a rebuild, so they should be a relatively quick video once again. Or should they? With Arizona this year, there's actually a decent amount of players who could potentially get moved at the deadline, whether or not Arizona wants to decide to just sell a house or they want to keep some of their assets for later on. Obviously, Arizona this season is 29th in the league, so just one above the Anaheim Ducks at a 16-28-6 record for 38 points. They have scored 131 goals and have only let in 177. For cap space, they have a lot more than Anaheim at $18.2 million. And unlike the Ducks too, there isn't that many players that Arizona really should sign. A lot of these players will probably leave to free agency. Let's start off with the UFAs this time. You have Troy Stecher and Andrew Ladd, two players who haven't been gaining many interest. Of course, Andrew Ladd is hurt, and Troy Stecher hasn't been that good. Now, as it goes for three other players, though, they're actually gaining some pretty decent interest. Nick Ritchie is one of the bigger ones, as he is receiving some interest from Calgary, Tampa Bay, and Winnipeg. So there are three teams right there where Ritchie could go to. Ritchie has provided some pretty solid secondary scoring for the Arizona Coyotes. And on another team, he would definitely become a pretty solid bottom six or fourth liner, maybe even just a depth forward that comes in whenever a player gets injured in the playoffs. As well as that, you also have Nick Bajustad, who I actually didn't think would gain interest, but hey, he is. He's getting interest from the Edmonton Oilers, as well as Shane Gostisbehere, who I do have an asterisk next to. He is hurt. So that very well could hurt Coyotes' deadline value there when they try and move him, if they try and move him. He's obviously on injury reserve right now, but he is gaining some interest from teams. The Oilers are once again a team that is interested in him as well. So the Oilers are garnering some interest around a lot of Coyotes players. So we'll see if the Oilers and the Coyotes can make a trade. There isn't that many interesting names in the RFA column. You do have Christian Fischer, however, who has garnered some interest by the Coyotes, who are looking to try and move him this trade deadline. However, I haven't seen any specific teams that have been interested, but I imagine there probably is a couple of them. As well as that, you have rookies Jack McBain and Matthias Micheli. McBain I'm kind of wondering about. He hasn't been the best this year, so maybe he might get a pretty small contract. But Micheli has looked pretty good these past 2 years for the Coyotes, so we'll see if he gets a pretty decent offer. And then another player, too, you have is Connor Ingram, who could prove very interesting come the deadline. I mentioned Anthony Stolarz in our Ducks preview. He could be another goalie that's in the wild card for potentially Arizona. But we'll see, though. Now, when it comes to buyers or sellers like Anaheim, Arizona is without question a seller right now. They're looking to move some of their pretty big players, which we're about to get into in a second here. In terms of draft picks, comparatively speaking to the later years, they strangely don't have a lot, with only one first-round pick, one second-round pick, two third-round picks, one fourth-round pick, one fifth-round pick, one sixth-round pick, and they traded their seventh away. Now, according to the Hockey News, that may not be the way to go, getting draft picks. They may want to go out and get some players. Sorry, I didn't do this for Anaheim, by the way. I didn't have the magazine. Armstrong shouldn't just be after picks. Arizona needs players, and acquiring prospects on the cuffs of making an NHL impact will be more meaningful than a late first-round pick. It's past time to leave Rich Chikrin, Shane Gostisbehere, and any non-essential pieces. Plus, the Coyotes are already rich in picks. Arizona owns as many as 18 selections between the first, the second, and third rounds across the next 3 drafts. That is an extremely good segment into our next half. Jacob Chikrin could prove extremely interesting for a team this season. Chikrin was hurt at the start of the year. It didn't look good trade value-wise, and we even saw rumors before that Chikrin was actually going to leave before the season started. Obviously, that didn't happen. However, I'm actually kind of wondering whether or not they are going to keep him or trade him this year's deadline. We will see what happens, but of course there is a lot of interest there from many different teams on whether or not they should acquire Chikrin, so he will definitely garner some interest. As well as that, 2 other players that I saw who could be pretty big trade pieces for the Coyotes are Josh Brown, which I really don't understand. I was like, what? Josh Brown? I mean, he's been all right this year for Arizona, but he hasn't been top level. He'd be like a third pairing defender if the Arizona Coyotes did trade him. And then you obviously have Karel Vejmelka as well, the goalie who garners a lot of shots under Arizona's pretty bad defense, but actually has some pretty decent stats relatively. I think I saw something where he's like ranked one of the best goalies in the bottom feeding teams, so maybe he could be on the move as well. Arizona could actually be a pretty interesting team come this year's trade deadline, and especially from a Coyotes fan who's looking forward to see them be good eventually, makes me kind of happy. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. For Sports, I really do appreciate it. So subscribe down below if you're new. And anyways, thank you all for watching. Check out the Anaheim Ducks series trade deadline preview, and check out the Bruins preview out tomorrow. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.